On today's mass shooting, the worst rampage in recent history, with 22 killed and 3 more injured, thanks to failed bureaucracy and restrictive gun control. Mass shootings are a uniquely American phenomenon, but this one took place in Canada. April 18, 2020, just 5 years ago today, a mean, abusive man, a cop wannabe who had had his own guns taken away, went on a rampage. He killed 22 and wounded 3, while the police and the government basically let him. All the markers were there: previously convicted of assault, violence against family members, and threatening the police. Neighbors had asked that his guns be taken away, and they were at one time. But on April 18, 2020, he locked his common-law wife into one of the retired police cars in his collection and started his rampage of killing neighbors and strangers, using the tools of the police. All his victims were unarmed citizens or armed policemen. And the police were as much a threat to the public as the shooter was. He first killed the couple next door and the woman across the street. Their 4 kids hid in a basement, terrified, where the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties, left them for 2 hours, afraid to enter the neighborhood. They just waited for the SWAT team because they were overwhelmed, they said, by this one man. Not coordinating with local law enforcement, the Mounties let the shooter escape down a back road, but they proclaimed him dead in one of the fires he started, and even sent police home. Even though a neighbor who survived being shot told them the shooter was on the road in a late model police car he had illegally restored and wearing a full Mountie uniform. Next, the Mounties told the public, well, anyone following their Twitter account at least, that there was an event localized to the town of Portapique, not using their automatic alert ready system like the Amber Alert in the US, or the news, or any other means that would have broadcast the danger. Not that they provided much information. They concealed the fact that he was dressed as a Mountie in one of their old cars and that the car was in complete RCMP livery. But remember, Canada has strict gun control, unlike the US, so no one was in danger. And as the Mounties continued to ignore the repeated statements that he was in one of their old cars, he drove across Nova Scotia, pulling people over and killing them. One victim was visiting nurse Kristen Beaton. She had a picture of the shooter with her, which her husband had sent her as a precaution, but neither one of them knew that he was dressed like a Mountie and roaming the province far from Portapique when he approached her car and shot her, killing her and her unborn child. When the Mounties finally released the fact that he was impersonating them, what happened next? Well, 2 Mountie detectives pulled up to a fire station where victims were taking shelter and opened fire without warning at the fire chief, because he was standing next to one of their police cars which had been stationed there with an officer for security. Ironic they attacked a fire station since the shooter had also started 16 fires, the original mass murder weapon. They missed the fire chief, who ran for his life, but the firehouse door, the sign, and 1 fire truck were injured, because the cops couldn't be bothered to check the unit ID number on the cop car parked there with a Mountie inside before opening fire. The RCMP said these 2 constables had done their duty, and the hero of this Battle of the Firehouse was promoted to corporal a few months ago. Next, the shooter, who had in fact driven by that firehouse, shot 1 Mountie and wounded him, then killed his supervisor, who they initially claimed had heroically run him off the road when he had rammed her. In fact, she had no idea of his identity, and her subordinate was shot because she had told him it was she in the shooter's car. They hadn't set up any password, countersign, or any other means of avoiding mistaken identity. They didn't get a picture of the replica cruiser, easily identified because it lacked a push bar. So she herself was taken by surprise next and was killed by him. So now the shooter's car was wrecked, but he took her gun, and he killed another innocent man who didn't know there was a fake cop on a shooting spree when he stopped to help, and took that man's car. The shooter ended up killing himself with the cop's gun. That happened when he stopped for gas, and two other Mounties were getting gas and maybe snacks at the same location. The shooter may have had the drop on those two and could have killed them as well, but eventually these shooters get tired of killing, and so he used the stolen gun to put a bullet in his head. It appears that maybe his heart was still beating when the pair of Mounties, who apparently were not overwhelmed, put dozens of slugs into the dying man, making sure the threat was eliminated as their training dictates. They, of course, are now heroes, even though the murderer, just like all his civilian victims, was shot when he had no ability to resist. But that's how the government wants its citizens, unable to resist. That's why, for good measure, Justin Trudeau, the unelected Prime Minister, ordered 1,500 different guns not used in the massacre to be outlawed. Oh, you thought he was elected? We'll do another TikTok later on that crazy system. But there was no AR-15, no high-capacity magazines, no ghost guns, cop killer bullets, Saturday night specials, just ordinary guns in the illegal possession of a known dangerous nut job. So Trudeau declared gun rights void, and Parliament let him do it. And if the Prime Minister can do it to gun rights, he can do it to any and all rights. Like a doctor who tells every patient to take a couple aspirin, more gun laws is the only strategy the Liberal government has to address the multiple issues behind Canada's crime problem. Canada's government is getting more liberal every day. It's more hostile to gun rights every day. That's why crime there is going up while it's going down in the States. So don't let the U.S. get like Canada. Uphold the Second Amendment. And if you're Canadian, remember, a vote for the Liberal Party is a vote for murder.